my old high school coaches asked me if I wanted to help out, and so I was like, yeah, as the more and more I was away from it, I started to miss it, and I was like, I should see if this is what I want to do. Some of my mentors were like, hey, you need to go back and coach your old high school too and see if this is something that you do want to do. It's very time demanding, and then obviously you take the next step. I was fortunate to become a GA when Dan Hawkins left Boise State to go to Colorado, and that was an opportunity that, it was for my wife and I to see if this life was for us. And so we were very fortunate after the first season of coaching my old high school. I got an opportunity to be a GA.
Was the police thing, did you have to make a decision then to do that, or would have you been able to fall back into that, let's say after being a GA, could you have gone back?
I would have been able to fall back.
Okay, interesting. And just asking, being from that area, how much has that helped you? Troy said that's helped a ton, really, you two relating to each other's relationship. And I know you only have him for a year, but
right.
just how important was it to kind of especially early on, with what he means to this team?
There's no question. There's a lot of familiar faces from recruiting or from being from the same area, and for me and knowing who Troy is and knowing who a lot of these players are from being around that area and recruiting that area, but also the guys that coach Troy and coach some of these other guys that are from the Inland Empire. I know a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys are the same as me. They're guys that I played against in high school and now are become coaches. And so being able to have conversations with those coaches back in the area about the guys that play for us coming into this deal, and was a huge part of it, because we didn't have a lot of time, going into spring ball, and you got to forge these relationships and you got to move quickly. And ultimately, this game is all about that. It's so demanding that it takes strong relationships, and those are always in constant motion of being built, enhanced because of the demand of the game.
Growing up, or even coaching.
Say it again.
Growing up, or even coaching in high school, could you imagine players like Kayvon and Justin in back-to-back years, leaving town and going to Oregon?
You know what? No. I grew up. My dad was an assistant high school coach. I grew up on the football field running around, and really, that time Corona wasn't a very big place, and so growing up and ever imagining that, be playing in the Rose Bowl with the group of players, coaches for the University of Oregon, sometimes you got to pinch yourself and enjoy the hard work that you're blessed to have.
You said at the moment you really enjoy the access part of this whole deal. Can you talk about that? If you just what you enjoy so much about that, and figuring out the defense and
Yes. I guess it's more so the competitiveness. You get older and you can't compete at a lot of things anymore like you used to, and so you find different ways to compete, to challenge yourself mentally. And that's even so, even as a player, going all the way back, those are some of the things that always intrigued me, that I found, week to week, day to day, challenge in studying film, and trying to prepare the best. Those are the things that we try to, breed into our players and try to build within our program, and not only for the sake of football, but for whatever career path, whatever field that our players go into down the road. You're going to separate yourself by how you work, how you prepare yourself, and that's a huge part of our program. I think Coach does an unbelievable job with that, and that's one of the things that drew me to Oregon.
And then transitioning that out to the field, do you enjoy the teaching part, the hands-on teaching part of the practice?
There's no question. That's the fun part about it. You get to run around and go out there. I never played in the Rose Bowl, but I'm going to get to practice in Rose Bowl and run around. I think a lot of our coaches do that. I would say that our coaches are extremely active at practice, moving around in drills, drill to drill, and within the drills with our players. And in the training process as well. It's not only during the season, but in fall camp, spring ball. We're out there and running around. We're all trying to do it together. And being able to take the stuff from the classroom to the field is a huge challenge, and sometimes being able to be right there with the players in the middle of it all and helping them communicate and make those adjustments to build that confidence they need to be able to do it on their own when the time comes.
What can you say about Troy Dye's leadership skills?
So Troy is his personality is he'll light up the room when he walks in. He's got that way about himself, and for his ability to lead this group when it's time to work, whether it be in the weight room, whether it be in meetings or whether it be on the practice field. When it's time for Troy to go, Troy goes. And that right there, we've been able to get to where we are today with great leaders like Troy, and obviously we're going to continue to need that leadership as we prepare for the biggest challenge of the year.
His halftime speech at Cal, what kind of impact do you think that had? Was it overblown, or do you think?
No, I think when Troy speaks, guys listen. Troy's played a lot of football here. Troy's done a lot of good things at the university. I think leaders number one have to have credibility because of how they do things and how they work. And obviously Troy's credibility is high, and that speaks to what he's done. And again, we're going to need that here as we go through. And that was conversations leading up to this, and making sure. I think Coach does an unbelievable job with messaging and getting the mentality of the program right, and that's going to be a huge factor for us in our prep.
This has been one of the best defenses in the country. What are you most pleased of when you showed up in spring ball till now, of just the development that the staff and these players have had on defense?
Everybody's willingness to work really, really hard and not settle but absolutely for our best, and our best is our best. And the hard thing about that is doing it every single day, and we've become more consistent with that, as we've grown. And that's one area, that Coach asked for us to become more consistent just in how we prep, how we work, our mentality every day. And it is the players, that's who go out on the field and play. But I would say this too, it always starts with the coaches, and the coaching staff has done a great job all the way around, on both sides of the ball and special teams as well.
When you showed up, the seniors and the redshirt juniors, they've had 3 or 4 defensive coordinators. How do you get that buy-in? Right. As the new guy, to get this group to where they're at now?
You've got to build relationships, and you got to make them feel confident about what they're doing, and get them to understand the why and the how. And obviously when guys have had multiple coordinators, position coaches, that's really hard. Coming from me, not only is coordinating a defense, but going into a position room where guys have had 3 position coaches. And that's really, really hard. We hold them to a really high standard, but at the same time, there's an understanding behind it all too, what these guys have gone through. And to a level that you've got to have some sympathy in how you teach and how they're getting things, because they have been through a few different coordinators. I would say this again, building those relationships and holding them to a really high standard is the key.
Brady mentioned that spring ball, when he showed up, he was 4th string safety. Mm-hmm. Just what have you seen from him and his climb of where he is now? He said, I'm starting in the Rose Bowl, and I was 4th string going into the spring season. What have you just seen from him?
Just his growth in terms of the understanding of the defense. The better you understand the defense, the better you understand how to play to your strengths and your weaknesses and offset your weaknesses. And I think for everybody, that and the growth that we've had, again, I think that's what we're always trying to build towards. You've got to understand what you're doing and how you're doing it and what you're trying to take away. And then, we always talk about the 111, then my 111. How am I going to play to my strengths to execute this scheme? And, how am I going to be the best at my weaknesses as well, based on who I've got to play against in the different scenarios.
Thanks.